This is the Scaredy Cat's Guide to Halloween Horror Nights. I did do all 10 haunted houses. I'm not going to give too much away, but I am going to let you know how many jump scares I counted in each house and any major components that you might want to be aware of. So if you don't want any spoilers, scroll on now. All right, we're going to start with the Horrors of Blum house. This house had 19 jump scares. It was the only of the 10 houses that had a chainsaw in it. It was very, very dark at one point, and it was also the only house that made my friend Jamie jump. None of the other houses scared her. Okay, the Weekend After Hours Nightmare had 14 jump spots. It had 3 camo spots, I'm calling them. Areas where the scare actors kind of camouflaged in with the walls and popped out at you. There was a lot of strobe lights, and then if you have a fear of walls closing in on you, there's like a train or a bus, I'm not really sure what it was, that kind of comes towards you that makes you feel like the walls are closing in. Universal Monsters Legends Collide had 20 jump scares. There's lots of icky strings hanging that feels like things are brushing against you. And then there's also some puffs of air, which doesn't sound scary, but it is unexpected. Next up is Hellblock Horror. This one had only 12 jump scares, but it had a ton of fog. It had excess gore. This was probably the goriest house that I went into, so if you don't like a lot of blood and guts, I wouldn't recommend it. There was an extreme strobe at the end. And then there was also like a hallway type room that was just pitch black. You can't see anything around you in front of you. Spirits of the Coven, I think it was one of the Tamer houses as far as I was concerned. There were 18 jump scares. That was about it. Other than that, the only thing I noted was that there were vines hanging, so you kind of brush along them. Descendants of Destruction had 14 jump scares, and then there was just some strobes. There's a pretty cool cave thing at the end though. Halloween, probably one of the most popular houses with the longest line, had about 12 jump scares. There was a heavy fog. And I'm going to give you a spoiler alert again on this because this is actually a component of the house. But there is a mirror room and there's a bunch of mannequins and a couple of scare actors and you can't really tell which is which. So that's kind of spooky. Bugs Eaten Alive was probably the only house that just truly scared me. I've never been scared in a haunted house like this before. There was 13 jump scares. But there was like a roach room and that really set me off. There were spiders. If you have a fear of like holes, you know, like little holes, there was a lot of scare actors that had masks with those holes. And then there's also the string thingies that were hanging. And that was particularly scary in this room because it kind of feels like bugs are on you. Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake was actually my absolute favorite house. The theming was phenomenal. And it was one of the more tame houses too. It had 8 jump scares. And then there was a light spritz of water at one point. Finally, Fiesta de Chupacabra. I think this was the least scary house with only 7 jump scares. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments.